Hi everyone, Ravi this side. Welcome to Engineering Adda. So today in this video we are going to see what is Bool query in Elasticsearch and how we can convert that Bool query in the form of Java Spring Boot APIs. Okay, so basically we are going to convert the Bool query of Elasticsearch in a domain specific language, and the specific language here is Java, and the framework that we are using is Spring Boot. So basically what we'll do, we'll write the bool query in the Elasticsearch, and then we'll try to convert that bool query in the form of Java Spring Boot APIs. So that is what we are going to do today in this video. There is one video on my channel where I have discussed about the bool query. If you are new to the Elasticsearch bool query, then you can come here and watch this video. In this video, I am going to discuss about the bool query, and also we'll try to implement that bool query in the form of Spring Boot APIs. If you'll go to my channel, there is a separate playlist for the Elasticsearch where I have discussed about the things related to the Elasticsearch, and also I have discussed how to implement that Elasticsearch query in the form of Spring Boot APIs. So you can see this Elasticsearch plus Kibana playlist is containing all the videos which are related to the Elasticsearch queries running in the Kibana. And here you can see one playlist which is the query DSL in Spring Boot. So we are converting all of those queries in the form of Spring Boot APIs here in this video. So you can see I have covered about the match all query, I have covered about the match all product query, I have covered about how to implement the match by field query, how to implement the fuzzy query, and how to implement the auto suggest API in the form of Spring Boot and Elasticsearch. So everything we have covered here, and the query related parts are covered in the Elasticsearch plus Kibana playlist. So you can go and watch it out there. In this video, we are going to cover the bool query in the Elasticsearch, and then we'll try to implement that bool query in the form of Spring Boot APIs. Okay, so let's get started for that. So if you'll go to the IntelliJ, I already have created this application, which is the Spring Boot application, and it is interacting with the Elasticsearch as a search engine, or you can say as a database. Okay, so there is a video on my channel where I have discussed about the Elasticsearch integration in the Spring Boot. So you can go there and watch it out if you are new to the Elasticsearch and Spring Boot integration. So you can see this. Let me try to show you. If you'll go to the videos, and here if you'll go to the popular one, you can find it on the first one, which is saying how to integrate the Elasticsearch with Spring Boot and performing the basic CRUD operations there. So you can watch it out if you are new to the Spring Boot plus Elasticsearch. Okay, so that is what I have implemented here in this Spring Boot application. I will provide the link of this application from the GitHub in the video description so that you can directly go there and access it. So you can clone it and then you can start doing the development. So you can see what we have did here. We have created the Spring Boot application and performing the basic CRUD operations, and the database that we are using is Elasticsearch. So if you'll go to the pom.xml, let me try to show you what all the starter dependency I'm using for this application. So you can see we are using Spring Boot starter data Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch is being used as a database or search engine. We are using Spring Web because this is a web application, and we are using the Lombok, and yeah, that's it. Those three starter dependency I have included: Lombok, Spring Web, and the Elasticsearch. Now let me try to show you the whole flow of the application, and then after that I will try to show you how to run the bool query and how to convert that bool query in the form of Spring Boot APIs. Okay, so if you'll go to the controller, here you can see I have developed this product controller. So this application is managing the product related things, or you can say this application is performing the basic CRUD operation on the product management, like creating the product or reading the product's details or deleting the product or updating the product. So before explaining all these APIs, let me try to go to the entity and show you how the product is looking like. So if you go to the entity, you can see this product, and the product is the class, and this is a working as a entity. Okay, it has ID, name, quantity, and the price as attributes. So we have the product ID, we have the product name, quantity, and the price. Now if you go to the repository, you will find this product repo interface, which is extending the Elasticsearch repository. And in the Elasticsearch repository, we are passing these two arguments. One is the product, and then the second is the ID type of the product. So if you go to the product, the ID is of integer type that we are passing here in the product repository as a second argument. Now coming to the services, you can see we have two services. One is product service, another is Elasticsearch service. But I will go to the product service, and here you can see we have created this four methods, and which first one is to get all the products from the DB from the Elasticsearch. Second is to insert the product into the Elasticsearch. Third is to update the product, and fourth is to delete the product. So we are using Elasticsearch as a database, right? So in the Elasticsearch, we have created one index called products, you can see, and that index we have configured here in the entity as a document. So the index is working as a table, okay, in the Elasticsearch. So we have created one index called products, and inside that index we are going to insert the products, we are going to fetch the product from that index, or we are going to update it or delete the product from the index. So everything we are going to do. So you can like take the index as a table in the SQL. Okay, so now I was in the service, so let me try to go to the product service. So here you can see all those four methods are written here. Which one is first one is to get the products, second is to insert the product, third is to update the product, and fourth is to delete the product. Now if you'll go to the controller, you can see we are auto wiring the product service, and with the help of this product service we are calling the implemented method from the product service in this controller. So the find all API is retrieving all the products from the DB. If you'll go to this product service method, which is get products, you can see this is using the find all method of the repository to find all the products from the index of the Elasticsearch. Okay. Similarly, if you'll go to the controller, and if you'll go to the second API, which is insert, it is inserting the product into the index Elasticsearch. So if you'll go to the insert product method, you can see we are passing the product as an argument, and then we are using the same method of the product repository to save or to insert that product into the index. Now similarly, we have the update and uh, we have the delete. Okay, so we have not implemented the update and delete APIs here, but those methods we have created here in the product service. So similarly, you can create it. I will provide the GitHub repository link of this application in the video description. From there, you can go and clone it. So this is the whole flow is. If you'll go to the product controller, if you'll go to the find all, you can trace the whole flow. So find all API is calling the get products method of the product service. If you'll go to the product service, you can see it is calling the find all method of the product repository, and the repository is Elasticsearch, right? So that is the flow. Now let me try to explain you about this Elasticsearch service and the Elasticsearch util, how we have implemented this, what this classes contains. Okay, so if you go to the product controller, here you can see I have written these two more APIs. One is to match all the indexes from the Elasticsearch, and second is to match all the products. Okay, so these two APIs I have implemented, and these two classes that we have created is containing the method for those two APIs. So let me try to show you one of the APIs. So let's say we are going to see this API, which is match all products. So what this API is doing, it is returning the list of product. Okay, and what its implementation is, you can see we are using Elasticsearch service to call the match all product service method. So if we'll go up, you can see we have auto add the Elasticsearch service reference here. And if you go to the Elasticsearch service, this is a class which is annotated with at the service annotation, so that its bean can be created and assigned to the application context. Now this class contains two methods. One is to match all the indexes from the Elasticsearch. Second is to match all the products from the product index. Okay. Now let me try to go to the product controller again and try to show you the whole flow for this match all product API. So what this API is doing, it is matching all the products from the index products. Okay. So if you'll go to this match all product service method, you can see here it is creating one supplier query. You can see this, and then we are passing this supplier query to the Elasticsearch search method. Okay, and then the index that we are targeting is products, and the same index that we have created here in the product entity, you can see this. So our index in the Elasticsearch is products. So let me try to go there. You can see this, and if you'll go to this Elasticsearch supplier query method, let me try to go there. You can see in the Elasticsearch util class we have created these two methods. One is creating the supplier query, and in the supplier query we are calling the match all query method. So if you'll go to the match all query method, sorry, let me try to come out of it. If you'll go to this match all query method, you can see here this is the match all query method that we have created. So let me try to explain you the whole thing what these methods are doing. Then you will get the whole flow, and then finally I will try to hit the match all products API. So coming to these two methods, the first one is match all query. So what this method is doing, this match all query method is creating a match all query first and then simply building it and returning it. Now if we'll come to the supplier query method, what we are doing, we are creating a supplier query and we are passing this match all query inside the supplier query. Okay, once the supplier query is created, we are calling this supplier query in the Elasticsearch service method. Let me try to go there. You can see in the match all product service method, we are calling this supplier query, which is internally containing the match all query. Now we have the supplier query. We are passing this supplier query to the Elasticsearch search method. And inside the search method, what we are passing other than the supplier query is the index name that we have created inside the Elasticsearch. So the index name is products, and the query that we are passing is supplier query, and the return type would be product.class. Okay, now we have the response from the Elasticsearch search method. We are containing that response in the search response variable that we have created, and its return type is search response of the product type. In the next line we are printing out the query that we are creating, and then we are simply returning the response. Now if we'll go to this method, which is match all product service method, which we are calling inside the product controller match all API. You can see match all product API. So this is returning the hit from the Elasticsearch search method, or you can say this is returning the Elasticsearch search response. We are containing that search response here, and we are finding out the hit out of it. And you can see we are logging it as of now, but in the next line you can see we are finding the hit out of this search response, and the hit would be list of hit of products. Now from the list of hit of products, what we are doing, we are iterating through it, and we are finding the list of product and then simply returning it. So to contain the list of product, we have created this list, and in that list we are adding the hits of the product, and then we are simply returning it. So this is what the whole flow is. Now let me try to run this application and try to hit this API. So before running this application, we should be making our Elasticsearch up and running. Okay, so I have installed my Elasticsearch on Docker. So if you don't know how to install the Elasticsearch on Docker, there is a video on my channel, you can go and watch it out. Okay, so there is a video how to install on the Windows machine, and there is a another video how to install the Elasticsearch using Docker. So there also you can go and watch it out. Let me try to show you. I will provide the link of that video in the description of this video, so you can directly go and look for it. So you can see this how to install the Elasticsearch and Kibana on the Docker using Docker Compose file. So you can watch this video. I will provide the link of this video in the description, and then you are good with the Elasticsearch installation and Kibana installation. So let me try to make our Docker Compose file up and running so that we can access the Elasticsearch as well as Kibana. And I will show you that I already have created the products index in the Elasticsearch. So everything I will try to show you there. So before going to run this application and hit this API, make sure that you have your Elasticsearch up and running. Now let me try to open my Docker, and let me try to make our Elasticsearch and Kibana up and running in the Docker. So once the Docker is up, you can make your Elasticsearch and Kibana up and running. Now my Docker is up. Now you can see in the Docker in the container, uh, I have this desktop container. So this is nothing but it is a folder where I have kept my Elasticsearch and Kibana Docker Compose file. So let me try to show you how the file is looking like, and then I will try to make it up. So if we'll go to my desktop, let me try to open the desktop, and here you can see this Docker Compose file. Let me try to open it. You can see in this Docker Compose file we have mentioned the services, two services. One is Elasticsearch and the port number and the environment and the limit. So one service is Elasticsearch, second service is Kibana, and we have mentioned the images of that Elasticsearch and the Kibana so that Docker can pull it when we make this Docker Compose file running. So that is what we did, and that is what my container is. This container is containing both of the services, or you can say this container is running the Docker Compose file. So make sure your make sure your Elasticsearch is up and running. If you don't know how to install it on the Docker, then you can go and watch that video. So my Elasticsearch is up and running on the Docker, and this is, if you go to the running process, as you can see, Elasticsearch is up and running on the port number 9200, and Kibana is running on the port number 5601. So let me try to access both of the things, and then I will try to show you how I have created the index, and then how it is being connected to the Spring Boot, and then we'll try to hit the Spring Boot API. So let me try to go to the Elasticsearch first. So Elasticsearch is up on the port number 9200. So HTTP localhost 9200. You can see this. Our Elasticsearch is up and running. Now let me try to open the Kibana also. So Kibana is up and running on the port number 5601. So HTTP localhost 5601, 5601. Now you can see the Kibana is loading. Here you can see the Kibana is up and running. Now if you'll come here to this tab, if you'll click on it, if you'll go to the bottom, you find this dev tool. Open this dev tool, and here you can run your Elasticsearch query. So this is the Kibana dashboard that provide you the console to run the Elasticsearch query. So our Elasticsearch and our Kibana both are up and running. Now I can show you that whatever query I want to run on the Elasticsearch, and then how those things are written. So if we'll go down, I already have created the product index. If you don't know how to create the index in the Elasticsearch, using Kibana, then I will again suggest you to go to my playlist of the Elasticsearch plus Kibana, and there you can watch those all things from installation to writing the basic CRUD operation to writing others queries in the Elasticsearch and Kibana. I already have explained all those things there. So I'm not going to explain you those things here. So you can see I have created this product index in the Elasticsearch. So let me try to run this and then show you what it contains. So if you'll go down, you can see this product index is containing the details related to the product. So you can see the product is this first index is having the product 101 and the name of the product is mobile, price is 20,000, quantity is 1. So this is containing the product related information. Now if you'll go to the second index, you can see this is this is containing the product 102, name is laptop, price is 60,000, quantity is 1. Similarly, I have couple of the product inserted. You can see tablet. If you'll go down, you can see tablet charger. If you'll go down, you can see mobile charger and you can see laptop charger, study table. So all of these seven, I would say, products are inserted in the products index. Okay, so this is how the product index is looking like. We have the product index ready and we have couple of product inserted inside the index. Okay, now let me try to show you how we have written the bool query. So what is the bool query? So bool query is nothing but it is a query which is a combination of two or more other queries. Okay, so you can see we have written this query and inside that query we have the bool query which is containing the filter query and the must query. Okay, so bool query is nothing but it is a combination of two or more queries. So we have written this filter query and the must query. Now let me try to explain you how the this bool query is working. So this bool query is containing the filter query and the must query, right? Now the filter query is filtering out the product based upon the name and the must query is matching for the quantity of the product to be 1. Okay, so let's say the product name is tablet and its quantity is 1, then that product will be fetched out here. Okay, so let me try to run this application. Sorry, run this query. So before running this query, let me try to show you the details related to the tablet. So if I'll run this search on the products index, you can see we have the 7 product inserted. And if you'll go for the tablet, let me try to show you what all the product related to the tablet we have. So we have the tablet charger and the quantity is 1. And if you'll come up, you can see that we have the tablet and the quantity is 1. Okay, so here you can see in the bool query we are writing two queries. One is the filter which is filtering out the products based upon the name. So we have passed the tablet here. It will filter out the product related to the tablet. And now the second query is the must query which is looking for the product that we have filtered out and its quantity should be 1, not more than 1, right? So let me try to run this query and then see the result. You can see in the result we are getting these two hits, and if we'll go down you can see we have the tablet and we have the tablet charger. So both of the products are fetched based upon the name and then the quantity is 1, then that is why we are fetching both of them. So this both of the queries are combined together giving this result. First query is to filter out the product based upon the name, second is to match the quantity, and if both are working together then this is the result. We have fetched out the tablet and the tablet charger and both quantity is 1. Now let me try to change the quantity to 2 and then see the result. So if you run this you can see we are not getting any hits because both of the products were having quantity as 1 only, and that is why we were able to hit this. Now the filter query is working fine, but we are not satisfying the must query. That is why we are not getting any result. Combining both of the queries, we are not getting any result. The tablet is there in the index, but it is not matching the match must query, and that is why we are not getting any result. Okay, so in order to run the bool query, both of the sub queries would be working together, and then only we are able to find the results. So if we'll put the quantity as 1 and if we'll run it, you can see we are getting 2 hits. So this is how the bool query is working. And if you want to get the clear understanding, there is a separate video on my channel about the bool query. You can go and watch it out. Okay. Now we have covered the bool query, how the bool query is working and how we can write it. So let me try to go to the Kibana again. And this is the bool query. Now this bool query we are going to convert in the form of domain specific language, that is query DSL, right? So we are going to convert this bool query in the form of Java Spring Boot APIs. Okay, so let's get started for that. So let me try to go to the IntelliJ, and our Elasticsearch is up and running. Our index is working fine, and in this application we have configured the index, and we have configured the APIs also, right? And we have the match all product API. So let me try to hit this match all product API first to see the list of product from the Elasticsearch product index. If this is working fine, that means the integration of this application, Spring Boot application, and the Elasticsearch is working good. Once that is tested, then we can start developing the Bool query API. So yeah, I started this application. Just wait for a few seconds. Before that, let me try to open the Postman for you so that I can hit the API. So just wait for a few seconds. Yeah, it is up and running. Postman is also opening up. If we'll go to your application, let me try to maximize it. You can see your application is up and running on the port number 8080. Okay, now the Postman is also up, and our application is up on the port number 8080. The class level mapping is APIs, and if you want to hit this match all products API, then you have to follow this match all products after the APIs. Okay, so let me try to go to the Postman and create the URL for it. So you can see our application is up on the port number 8080, and it is up locally on the 8080. So the APIs would be HTTP localhost 8080. The class level mapping is APIs, which is APIs you can see here, and after that the method level mapping is match all products. So let me try to copy this and go to the Postman APIs, put this match all products and then hit it. Now in the result you can see we are able to get the products whatever there in the Elasticsearch index. Okay, so you can see we have the mobile, laptop, tablet charger, mobile charger, laptop charger, and the study table. You can cross verify it if you'll go to this Kibana dashboard, and if you'll run this get search query of the Elasticsearch on your product index, then you will find the same details here. You can see we have the first is the mobile. First one is nothing. We don't have any details related to the product for the first record. Second record is the mobile. Third one is the like laptop, and then we have the tablet, then we have the tablet charger, we have the mobile charger, we have the laptop charger, and we have the study table. The same thing we are getting in the APIs also, right? You can see this. And if you go to the IntelliJ in the console, you can see this is the query that we are running, which is the match all query. Okay, so we have integrated our Elasticsearch, and we are hitting the product index, and we are hitting this match all query. Okay, so everything is working fine. Now what I will do, I will try to convert this bool query that we have written here in the form of Spring Boot APIs. Okay, so let me try to go there. So first of all, we can start a bottom up approach, or we can also start a top down approach. Okay, so let me try to go to the up approach and then try to show you. So what we need to do, we need to create two queries. One is to filter the query. You can see the one query is filter, second query is the must query, and then we are combining both of them in the bool query. So we have to create three methods. The first one is the first method is for the filter query, second method is for the must query, and the third method is combining the filter and the must query. And then this query would be transferred to the supplier query, and then we can pass this supplier query to the search method, and then finally we can call that method in the controller. How the flow for the match all was. Okay, so similarly we are going to develop the bool query also. So let me try to follow the bottom up approach and then try to show you those things. So go to the Elasticsearch util class, and here let me try to create those methods. So here you can see for the match all what we did. We have created one match all query, and we have created one supplier query, or you can say we have created one method which is returning the match all query, and then that match all query method we are calling inside the supplier query, and this method is returning the supplier query. Okay, so similarly for this bool query, what we are going to do, we are going to create one bool query method, and inside that bool query method we are going to pass the filter query and the must query. Okay, so let me try to go to the IntelliJ. So let me try to first develop the bool query. Okay, so let's say public static bool query. Make sure this bool query is coming from the Elasticsearch. So bool query. Okay, now let's say the method name is bool query also. Okay, and in the bool query, okay, wait for a few seconds. So let's say we have created this method bool query. Now let me try to create a variable called bool query equal to new bool query builder. Okay, so we have created one bool query variable which is of bool query type. Okay, now this bool query variable, we are going to call the filter and the must in this bool query variable. So let me try to do that and return that bool query. So bool query dot filter. Why we are calling filter? If you'll go to this Kibana dashboard, and if you look for this bool query, you can see this inside the bool query we have the filter query and we have the must query. So that is why on this variable which is of bool query type, I'm just going to call the filter and I'm just going to call the must, and combining both of them, what becomes the bool query. So let me try to do that. So bool query dot filter. Okay, so you can see the filter, and we are going to select this first one which is filter, and this is looking for the list of queries, right? So again let me try to go to the Kibana, and if you look for this filter query, this is of type of list of queries. So filter is, after the filter we have the open bracket and we have the close bracket which denote the list, which denote the array. So this filter query is a list of queries. Similarly, this must query is the list of query. So when we are writing down this filter on top of bool query, we need to pass the list of queries here. Okay, and let me try to go to the again to the Kibana. You can see this filter contain the list of queries. As of as of now, we have only one query, which is a term query, but we can have more than one term queries, which makes the filter as a list of term queries or list of queries, you can say. So if you copy this whole thing, you can say this is one term, and if you want to put other terms in the filter, you can put it how we have put it here. You can change the field name and the values. So this filter is a list of queries. Similarly, the must is a list of queries. So let me try to remove this as of now. As of now, we have only one query in the filter and one query in the must. So when we are calling the filter on the bool query, or when we are calling the must on the bool query, we need to pass the list of queries as an argument. Okay, so let me try to do that. So this filter, we have to pass the list of queries here, and when we are going to call the must, again we have to pass the list of queries there, and then we have to build it. Okay, and then we have to simply return it. So this method is creating a bool query. On the bool query, we are uh, combining the filter and the must, and then we are building it and returning it. This filter and must should contain the list of queries. Now again, if you'll go to the bool query, you can see this filter is containing the list of terms queries, and the must is containing the list of merge match query. So we have to create a list of match query or list of term queries. Okay, so let me try to do that. So here let me try to create a list of term query first. So public static list of query, and let me try to make it as a term query. Okay, and in the term query, we have one field which was name, and we are passing the values of that name, which is tablet. But I want that value to be dynamically passed as a path variable. So that is why in the term query here, as an argument, I'm just going to pass that value. Okay, let me try to again show you. So you can see in the term query we have the field as name, and the value is tablet. Now what I want to pass this tablet value from the API as a path variable. So that is why I'm just passing this as a argument here in the method, or in the term query. Similarly for the match query also, I just pass this value, which is quantity, as a path variable. Okay, so let me try to do that. So in the term query, we are passing this product name as a path variable. So we are passing this here as an argument, and later on we'll pass it to the path variable in the API. Okay, so product name, and how we have created the bool query. Similarly, we need to create the term query here. Okay, so let me try to do that. But that would be the list of, like, we are returning the list of query here, so we have to create a list of query here first. Final list of term query array list is the implementation of it. Now let me try to create one term query here, and new term query builder. Okay, and then we have to do a terms dot add term query, and let me try to create a query here. So what we are doing, if we'll go up for the match one, you can see in the supplier query we are using query of to create a query of matched all. Okay, similarly we are going to create a query of term here. So what we did, we have created one list of queries which is terms, and its implementation is array list. Now we have created one term query, and then we are going to add that term query in the list of queries and then return it. That is what we are doing here. So when we are going to add that term query in the terms, which is a list of query, we are going to use the query of method. So query dot off, and then we are passing here q dot term, and in the term we have to pass the term query, and then we have to pass the field name, and we have to pass the value. Okay, and then we have to build it. So term query dot field, so the field that we are going to hit is name, so I'm just going to hard code it as of now, and you can also pass it from either from the APIs, or either you can hard code it, or you can get it from the application properties file. So as of now we are just going to hard code it. Okay, now we have to pass the value, and the value we are passing dynamically from the path variables, and that is coming here in the method as an argument. So the product name we are passing here, and then we are building it, and that's it. Okay, and then simply return the list of queries from this method, which is terms. Okay, so this is how we can create. Let me try to put the semicolon here. Okay, so this is how we can create the list of term queries. Now we have to create the list of match query for the most. Okay, so let me try to create that as well. So copy this and paste it here. Let's say it is list of match query. We are passing the quantity here, right? In the case of match query, you can go there to the Kibana and you can verify it. In the most, we have the list of match query, and the field is quantity and the value is 1, which is of integer type. So that is what we are doing here. We are creating the list of match query, and we are passing the quantity here as an argument, and later on it will be consumed as a path variable. Okay, now we have the list of match. Okay, copy this, paste here. Now we have to create the match query again here. So let's say match query equal to new match query dot builder, and then we have the match query. In the matches we are going to add that match query, and how we are creating the match query, we are doing using the query of, then we have the match here. We are going to pass the match query, and we are setting the field name. The field name is qty, and the values in the case of match query, there is a no field called value. We have the query, and in the query we have to pass that quantity here. So qty, and then we have to build it, and then we have to return it. So the query list of query was matches. Okay, simple. So we have created the match query also. We have created the term query, and both are looking good. Now we need to pass those things here in the filter. So when we are passing this to the filter, we need to pass the product name and the quantity also. So let me try to pass this product name and the quantity in the bool query as an argument. So string product name comma integer quantity, and let me try to call this term query and the match query. So in the filter we are passing the term query, and we have to pass the product name. In the most we are passing the match query, and we are passing the quantity there. That's it. So we have created the bool query. Now how we have created the match query, and the match query is being called in the supplier query. Similarly, I'm going to create a supplier query to call the bool query. Okay, so there is a 4 methods that we need to create. One is for the supplier query, which is consuming the bool query. In the bool query we have the filter and the most, and in the filter and most we are passing the term query and the match query. Okay, so let me try to create the supplier query here. So you can directly come up and copy this. This is also simple. Let's say supplier query for bool, something like that, bool query. And here again we have to pass the product name and the quantity. So just copy this, paste it here as argument, and now we have the supplier query. Okay, and in the supplier query we are going to create a query, and then in the query we have to pass the bool query, right? Let me try to remove this match. So query of, let me try to again do it, query of let's say q dot bool, and in the bool query we need to pass the bool query that we have created here. below. Copy this, paste it here, and then we have to pass this arguments. So product name and the quantity. Okay, so that's it. So we have created the supplier query out of bool query also. Okay, now we are good. Now what we need to do, we have created all the queries here in the Elasticsearch util. Now if we'll go to the Elasticsearch search service class, here we are going to create one method which is calling the supplier query and then passing that supplier query to the search. Okay, search method of the Elasticsearch. Okay, so same thing we are going to do here as well. So let me try to do that. So either what I can do, I just copy the this method which is match all product service method, or you can create on your own also. So let me try to copy it and paste it here. So the return type of that method would be search response or product type. So let's say this is a bool query impl, something like that. We need to pass the we need to pass the product name and the quantity. Okay, so we need to pass it. So let me try to pass it. So we have created this bool query implementation method. Its return type is search response. We are passing the product name and the quantity. Now we have created the supplier query here. Okay, sorry, we are let me try to call that supplier query that we have created for the bool query. So if we'll go to the Elasticsearch util, let me try to go there, and you can see this. This is the method for the supplier query of the bool type. So if we'll go to the service, let me try to call that, and we need to pass the product name and the quantity here. So just pass that product name and quantity. So here we are calling the Elasticsearch supplier query for the bool query method, and we are passing the product name and the quantity. Its return type would be supplier query, right? Now we have the supplier query. This supplier query we need to pass to the search method of the Elasticsearch. And if you come here, you can see this Elasticsearch client. So this Elasticsearch client we have auto-wired here in the Elasticsearch service class. Okay, so you need to auto-wire it so that you can call the search method of the Elasticsearch. Inside this search method, we are passing the index, and the index is products, and then we are passing the query, and in the query we are passing the supplier query. Okay, so you can see this supplier, the same thing we are passing here and applying the get method, and its return type would be product. Okay, so that is all, and its return type would be search response. We are printing the query, and then we are returning the search response out of this method. Now this method is ready. Now let me try to copy this, and now what we need to do, we need to go to the controller and call this method. Okay, so let me try to go there to the product controller, and similarly how we have implemented for the matchel products, similarly you can do it for the bool query also. So let me try to copy this and paste it here. I will explain you everything. So let's say the API is bool query, and we need to pass the product name and the quantity as a path variable. Okay, so let me try to pass that. So let's say product name, and then let me try to pass the quantity also. Okay, now let me try to rename this method. So let's say it is bool query. Okay, something like that. Here we need to pass the product name and the quantity as a path variable. So string path variable is string product name, and path variable integer quantity. Okay, now we are good. Now what we need to do, we need to call the method which is bool query impl method from the Elasticsearch service class. So copy this, come here to the product controller and call that. Okay, and here we need to pass the product name and the quantity. So just pass the product name and quantity. So we are calling that whatever response we are getting, we are storing it in this variable which is search response of search response type. Now what we are doing, we are just simply printing out the hits. If we'll go down, you can see list of hits. We are filtering out the list of hits from the search response, and then the list of hit is of type list of hit of product. Now what we need to do, we need to fetch out the product out of the hitted product, list of hitted product. Okay, so for that we have created one list of product array list, and inside that list of product array list we are adding the hitted product. Okay, so you can see this, we are iterating the things. So this list of hits is containing the list of heated product. We are filtering out the list of heated product one by one and adding it to the list of products, and then simply returning it. Okay, so this is what we are doing. So everything is looking good as of now. Now let me try to run this application and try to hit the API and try to show you how it is working. Okay, so let me try to do that. So run this application and try to hit this bool query. Once it is working fine, I will again summarize the whole flow for you. Okay, so you can see our application is up on the port number 8080, and the class level mapping is APIs, and then the method that we have developed, or the API method that we have developed for the bool query is bool query, and then we need to pass the product name and the quantity. So go to the product postman, and here it is bool query, I think, yeah, and then we need to pass the product name. So let's say the product name is tablet, and then the quantity is 1, and hit it, and you can see we are getting the response. That means our API is working fine. If you provide the quantity as 2, you can see nothing is there. So when we were running this bool query in the Elasticsearch Kibana dashboard, you can see we are getting the same result here. Let me try to run it and then show you. So you can see we have provided the name as tablet and the quantity is 1. So if we'll run it, you can see we are fetching these two results. One is 103, one is 104. One is the tablet and the quantity is 1. Second is the tablet, charger, and the quantity is 1. So both of the queries are matching and then giving the result. Similarly, here in the Postman also, we are getting the same results. We are providing the product name as a tablet and the quantity as 1, then we are getting these two results, which is the same as what we are getting here. So that means we have successfully implemented this bool query in the form of Java or Spring Boot APIs. Okay, so this is what the query DSL is, and let me try to show you the logs here. So you can see we have logged the Elasticsearch query here. So you can see in the Elasticsearch query, this is bool, and then inside the bool we have the filter. Inside the filter we have the term, and inside the term we have the name and the value as a tablet. Similarly, we have the most, and in the most we have the match. We have the quantity as a 1, and that's it. And the same query you can copy and come here to the Kibana, and then you can match it. So let me try to show you those things as well. You can see we have the, first of all, we have the inside the query we are passing this bool query. So we have logged the bool query, right? So let me try to match it from the bool query. So you can see this bool query. Inside the bool query we have the filter. Inside the filter we have the term. Inside the term we have the name as a column and its value. Similarly, we have the must query. Inside the must query we have the match, and we have the quantity and the its value. So here in the log query you can also see the same thing. We have the bool query. In the bool query we have the filter. In the filter we have the term query. We have the field name, and we are directly not passing the value as a tablet, but we have one another column which is value, and then we are passing the value of that field which is name here. Similarly for the must query, so both of the queries are looking same. So this is how you can implement the bool query in the form of query DSL or in the form of Spring Boot APIs. Okay, so this is about the video, guys. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and let me try to summarize the whole flow for you so that you can get the gist of it. So you can see we have created this API, we are passing the product name and we are passing the quantity, and we have created this bool query implementation method where we are passing the product name and the quantity. If you'll go to this bool query implementation method, we are calling this Elasticsearch supplier query for the bool query method where we are passing the product name and the quantity. If you'll go to this supplier query method, you can see this supplier query method is creating a bool query. If you'll go to this bool query is creating the filter query and the must query, and inside the filter query and the must query we have the term query and the match query. If we'll go to the term query, this is returning the list of query. In the term query, as of now only we have the one term, so that is why we have created the term query and added this term query in the list of queries. And you can see similarly here we have created the match query which is a list of query. Inside the match query we have created one match query and added it. Okay, and yeah, that's it. That's all the flow is, and this is how we can create or we can develop or we can convert our Elasticsearch queries in the form of Java Spring Boot APIs. Okay, so if you like the video, please hit the like button and please comment down what you need uh, in the next videos. And if you like really like the video, please subscribe the my channel for more such content. Thanks.